So guys, we are back as promised, streaming a little bit of X-Plane 11. I'm in Discord with Tad still, as he has some munch before he takes himself to bed. Hungry work, that racing log, isn't it? So let's hop over. We'll just go to the generic overlay for the moment. I'm not going to put up the full flight one. We'll put that up in a minute when we decide where we're going to go from and where we're going to go to and what we're going to fly, basically. So I am thinking no. Oh really? Oh okay. That'll be cool. I'll turn it on after this then. Right, so let's, you know what? Let's go out in the old school MD-80, shall we? Go out in the MD-80. We'll go. No. Yeah, no worries. Right, no. Now we're gonna go out. We're gonna go out in the private jet. Now, where were we last time? We were at Sonbonnet, which is in Mallorca. So we can either carry on from there, or we can do some flying in America where it's likely to still be light. What do we want to do? Let's go out of Sonbonnet, shall we? Where we were. Real world time, real world conditions, start. So we can take a little private jet and try and find somewhere we can go and fly into, shall we? We'll probably just take it on a short flight. We'll go over to Alicante or somewhere like that, I think. He is back. And Pants is back. Have I missed much? No, mate. No. In all honesty, you have missed absolutely bugger all. In the time that you've been gone, I'm just loading up, and we're going to go and take the private jet out somewhere. So we're in Sonbonnet in Mallorca, and I'm trying to think of somewhere that we can go. We'll try and test this plane out a little bit, shall we? Take it up a little bit higher than we did last time. Okay. Right, while this is loading, let's go and grab a drink. Ah, was playing Zelda. Ah. See, now that makes a lot more sense than was playing Zelda. It's taking a while for this to load. Bit of a pain. Unfortunately, as we're doing real time and real weather, it's going to be dark So get my iPad ready with all the charts. No, it's not my dog, Jay. It's the dog next door. Rav, thank you very much for the host. Right, so now this plane have the legs to do a lot of the stuff that we'll be doing in the 737 theory. It does want to kick in the head at the moment, yeah. But this plane's a lot simpler to fly than the 737. There's a lot less stuff to worry about, which is a bonus. So it is dark, but everything looks like it's switched on. There we go. Okay. Now, the first thing I'll do, get outside the aeroplane, and you cannot see it for toffee. There's a very dark apron we've got here in San Bonnet. We can barely see the aircraft. Yeah, no worries. So we've got the door open. Yeah, I'll catch you soon, mate. Now let's sort out the lighting. There we go. And you can just about make out the inside of our plane there. So let's hop inside. And you can see with all the lights and everything on in here, it's nice and bright. Nice and bright and airy. So it's brought everything up and online, which is fine because we've got the GPU connected. So we can take the power from that. We haven't got to worry about the batteries too much. But probably make sure that the chocks aren't on. Parking brake is, which it is. So now we've just got to think of somewhere that we want to go. I'm thinking let's just take a quick trip over to Alicante for the moment. See if I can pull up a route for Alicante. It'll only be a quick hop over the water. But we'll see if we can get the aircraft up pretty high. So I'll go into my route finder down here. We'll start at this. It starts working. LESB. We'll go to LEAL, which is Alicante. Go to find a route for us. Okay, so it's not found LESB. Okay, so let's go for LEPA. Because that's the airport that we're basically next to. Why are you telling me you can't find that? Definitely exists. This is bizarre. See if I can find the charts for LESB while we're here. Bring those up on my iPad. No. Okay, so we're going to be going a little bit blind coming out of San Bonnet. F Chicken CS, hey, how are you doing? Welcome to the stream. Right, so we are going out from San Bonnet, which is on the island of Majorca. And as soon as I get a route, we're going to be flying over to Alicante. So let's sort out this flight plan, shall we? Add waypoint. LES San Bonnet. There we go. See if it will find a route for me. If it does, then we can plug the route in and away we can go. There we go. Right, so we've got a route. Our next point that we're going to is point Olutu. And can we do airways? I don't know if this can do airways or not. Waypoint. Activate leg direct to. Right, let's try upper November 850. 850. No, it doesn't like that. Right, we're going to have to put the points in manually. It'll be a bit of a pain in the ass. There we go. So we're going to go to ADX. And we're going to go to Kitty. That's definitely not the right waypoint. Neither. So that one might be actually. OL. The O. That's better. Yeah, so you have to be a little bit careful because obviously I put that route in before and it decided it was taking me to Denmark, which is not where I wanted to be going. So you do have to be careful with the routes. And I don't know, let's try getting up to 25,000, shall we? That should do. Oh no, that's transition altitude. Cruise altitude is what I wanted to change up to 25,000. That's cool. That's set, and let's minimize that. Right now I can go over into our little flight streaming overlay so that you can see the route and everything on the top. Yes, it is a default computer for the Eclipse. The Eclipse now comes with the GTN 750, which is pretty awesome. I don't think it's quite as good as like the Reality XP one that you can get, but yeah, it's good. It's nice, and yes, it is. It's X-Plane 11 that we're on. So it's a Kitty. It's another waypoint. Is Beba. There, that's cool. And then BABER and Gervu is the last point, and then I reckon because it's a proper airport that we're going into rather than this one, we should be able to pull up a procedure on there. So let's have a look at the map. I've got the map on there. Minimize that over to there, and let's jump over into the back of the aircraft, and we can close up the door like so. Now, first things first, let's set the lighting in the cockpit before we turn the lights off in the back. So set that to night mode. Change the dimming in there. Let's have the footwell lights on. Cabin override. Okay, the dome light in here isn't all that special by the looks of things, but there we go. The cabin override, it's turned all those off. So basically, when we're in the cruise, if we wanted to, we can turn that on, but all the packs can see what we're doing. So we'll leave that off for the moment. And I think that's everything. Let's get the nav lights on, and we'll put the beacon on so you can see the aircraft. You can just about in the glow. I see the top right corner. That's fine. So is it worth paying $40 for? If you particularly like GA stuff, possibly. I don't know. I'm a little bit undecided at the moment. It's nice, but I don't know. I think to an extent I'd rather go with like something from Coronado, and maybe get their Phenom, which I might possibly do. So we shall see. Plus the start procedure and flight characteristics of it are pretty good. The autopilot's a little bit finicky, so let's set the altitude on the autopilot now before we go anywhere to 4,000 feet for our initial climb out, and then set the speed. Speed's 180. That will do quite nice for a climb. Barrow, I'm not too worried about that. It's pretty much 0 now, and I can pull up the information on that in a minute when we're in flight. So yeah, I don't know. We'll get the thing running, and you can see what you think of it. So we've got the GPU on. Let's start the right end engine, and that is literally the extent of the start procedure for this. Button 2. Helpful I had the desktop audio on. Turn it down a little bit. Otherwise that seems to come through quite loud. So that's that. And then where are we flying from? We're flying from San Bonnet, which is in Mallorca. Okay. Number 1. I also don't like the fact that when you watch on this, the ITT seems to go up into the red arc, which you wouldn't want in real life. Right, so there we are. We're good on that one. So let's set up the sky view as our source on the HSI. No message heading, that's set. Transponder, that's a VFR. Of course it's 1200 because it's American. So set it to 7000. And let's put it into ground mode. So that's a TCAS set up. Let's have a look outside. External lights. Put the taxi lights on, give it a quick flash, let the handlers know we're going to be taxiing. Now we can see a little bit more. Get them to disconnect the ground power unit, like so. And we'll have a quick look over here. Make sure the generators are on auto. Fuel pumps, avionics, nice. Pitot heat if we've got any, I'll flick that on. Imagine we've got pitot heat somewhere. We've got ice protection there, look. It's fine. And we'll put the windshield defog on. And let's have a look I don't know where it's actually put us on the airfield. Right, okay. So basically now we want to come forward and taxi round to the right. Brakes off. Put the flight director on. Right, let's leave the flight director off at the moment. We don't really need it. Set the flaps for takeoff. You can see there the little flap annunciators going. Here we go. Taxi round to the right. Do a quick flight controls check. It's all full and free. And this should be the runway over here that we're coming to. Right. Go cabin override now, make everything a little bit darker. We taxi onto the runway. The landing lights on. And the strobes. They're on as well. So outside we should have a aircraft that's lit up like a Christmas tree. Not that I've got any air traffic on tonight. Right, so let's line up with the runway. Bring the aircraft to a standstill. It's quite a lot of power to get the thing going, to be fair. Right, let's go out on the transponder. Let's go. It's a little bit skittish on the rudder, this one. YM699, thank you very much for the follow. It's much appreciated. Welcome to the stream. Positive rate, gear up. Let's trim it out. Try and climb away at about 15 degrees. It's got a flight path vector on this here, which is quite nice. Let's put the flight director on and your damper on. There we go. So if we look out to our left, you will be able to see there is, okay, that was different. I don't know what we had that warning for. Wasn't particularly well enunciated, was it? Hang on a minute. What's happening with our right engine? Right, okay, so we might not be going anywhere, guys. Because I've got a funny feeling. Yep. That was right engine fire. Come on. Let me lift that. Right, that should have extinguished the right engine. Yep, the right engine stopped. Okay. So, fire in the right hand engine. Right hand throttle is closed. We've extinguished the right hand engine now. Beyond that, it looks like we're running okay. We're at 4,000 feet. Still got good decent speed on. This close to Palma, there is no point in us trying to make it all the way to Alicante. So let's come back round and we'll basically perform a single engine emergency landing now at Palma. There we go, nothing like a little in-flight emergency for a little bit of excitement. Turn the lighting down in the back a bit. Turn that down. Where's the dome light? I don't think we need the dome light on. That's better. The world lights can go off. The light in here is still pretty bright, to be honest. I'd rather it was a little dimmer. I can actually concentrate on what I'm doing. There we go. That should work. So we're light enough that we can land. Let's bring up the display Garmin 750 here. So if we want to land at Palma, we're going to have to look at going now back round to the left. We're going to need to come back round to the left to a heading of about in fact we're going to have to come round to the east. So here we go, coming through south, we're heading back round to the east. There's the airport over there, so if we carry on past that and we'll set ourselves up for a landing on the closest runway. We'll assume air traffic's given us permission to land on either runway. Otherwise normally we'd be landing on the left runway. And at the moment we're maintaining around 5,000 feet, 130 knots, call it. We could go back to the airfield that we started at, San Bonnet, but there was next to no runway light in there, and plus we're an engine out, so I'd rather have a nice long runway that we can put this down on. Oh, okay. There goes the light all of a sudden. That's different. Panel lighting? Really? Okay, well I wanted it darker. So we're essentially coming in now downwind for the runway at Palma de Mallorca. Speed's increasing as we descend. We don't want to get too slow. I don't want to end up putting huge power inputs in and making the aircraft uncontrollable. Cali's home. So at the moment, Jack, we just took off and climbing for a couple of thousand feet. An engine fire in the right engine. So we've shut that engine down. And we're heading back and we're going into the main airport in Mallorca. It's just down there to the right. We're flying single engine at the moment. And we are hand flying it. So I don't know why it automatically puts those sun blinds down. Pull that up. So you can see the airfield there. We're just coming roughly abeam our touchdown point now. At the moment we're just flying this aircraft like a fast Cessna basically. Passing through 3,800 feet now, I think. You guys hopefully should be able to make things out a little bit easier, although I am starting to think about making that box at the top a little bigger so it's a bit more readable. Let me know what you think. If that's big enough for you guys to read, then I'll leave it as it is. I'd imagine it's probably quite small, especially if you're watching on a tablet or a phone. Turning base now. I'm still within. Come right back on the power. $150 knots. We're coming down through 3,000 feet. Get a notch of flap out. In fact, we've got a notch of flap out. We didn't even get to flat retraction on climb out. So we've got landing flat now. Come all the way back on the power. I don't think this thing has any speed brakes, so I might even extend out and go on the right hand runway. 122. 2,700 feet. Yeah, we're still a bit high, so we'll take the left of the runways, the most easterly runway, and a little bit further out. See the lights there, the runway leading lights. So make sure our landing lights are on, which they are. Still turning away. Come through 2,000 feet now. Let's turn right. Not necessarily the wisest idea turning into the dead engine, but let's ease off that rate of descent to save our speed from getting up too high. Put the gear down. Should give us a little bit more drag, but we're high and fast. But I'm gonna do something you'd probably never do in real life and try and slip the aircraft a little bit. Yeah, that should do. Just gonna have to. We've got a runway that's plenty long enough. We're just gonna have to bleed the speed off.
200. Obstacle.
Here we go.
Obstacle. 100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
There we go. We're down. 76 feet per minute. Quite a soft landing. Still very skittish on the rudder, this aircraft. There we go. Let's take the next turn off on the right. Just up here. There we go, we made it down. It's a bit of a relief. Single engine. Wasn't what I was expecting on our departure out of here. Bring the flaps up. lot of power on that engine to get it going, and look how much it's twisting the aircraft. There we go. Back off the power. I landed with a tailwind as well. Really should have looked at what the weather was doing. And as I was out over the water, I should have come back in the other way. But never mind. We got down. And the defog on the windshield's off. Here we go. Something a little bit different tonight. Let's swap aircraft, shall we? And to something preferably that doesn't have a fire in its engine. Ooh. Do I take the MD-80? What do we think? Shall I take the MD-80? Guys in chat, if you've got any preference, let me know. Otherwise, I'll take the 7.3. We can operate that pretty much with our eyes closed. So, trying to remember whether or not what various bits of scenery and that I've got in here now. Let's go for something all a little bit different, shall we? Right, we're going to go out of Catalina Island. Oh, stick with the current aircraft. Oh no, I don't like that colour scheme. Yeah, we'll go with that one. We're going to fly out of Catalina Island. That'd be a nice little challenging departure. We'll go out of Catalina. We'll probably fly into LAX. Give LAX a go, shall we? Just going to bring up a quick preview of the stream on my left screen over here. Yeah, it is a little bit small, those boxes. They could do with being made a tiny bit bigger, couldn't they? So while X-Plane is loading up that, I'm going to load up Des. When it decides it wants to start working, I'll load up Photoshop and I'll try and sort those boxes. Make them a little bit bigger. Do it so that one. Oh man, that's one that I didn't really want to go resizing. So let's delete that for a second. Right, have to copy that from there and because it's the same one that I want in each. Let's make sure that's worked. Yep, that worked. That's fine. So, it wasn't that I wanted to make bigger, was it? It's these bad boys. I want to make a little bit bigger. And the one below it. Well, a little bit bigger. That seems to work quite nicely. Right, let's see if I can find, while we're doing this, file that I'm looking for. Should be this one. Open up Photoshop and we should be able to stretch that and make it a bit bigger. We should make that look a little bit better, hopefully. Right file. Finally sure that I have. And now I have a file. So, welcome to, in the background, Catalina Island. Awesome little airfield that's been done by the fantastic Mr. X, scenery wise. Cannot fault it. Out there. Save it. So, right now let's try the overlay. See if it's going to work and retweak everything. There we go. Right, okay, that's made that box bigger, which is what we wanted, and now I can just fiddle about with these. That's the progress one. Yeah, that's about as big as I want that. We can probably make the text a little bit bigger. See if we can make the text on all of these the next size up. So where's progress bar on here? 12 at the moment. Let's see what happens. Go up to 14. Yeah, that works a little bit better, doesn't it? I can see that a bit more now. That makes life a little bit easier for reading that. Let's do these widgets. Make all of these bigger as well. you'll see all of the text, and that should be hopefully getting a little bit more visible on the stream. Of how that's coming out so far. Heading to the next one. So last one is the wind. Okay. Now I should be able to use this one, move it down a bit. Actually there we go. That makes that a little bit easier for everyone to read. So anyway, let's close down Photoshop. We don't want that running in the background. Get rid of as much of this other gumph as we can. So welcome to Catalina Island. It is literally an island just off the coast of California in the States. We're going to look at heading out of here, head up and into where's LAX? Further up than that. Oh, there's LAX there. So it's not going to be a hugely long flight. It'll be interesting. We might not necessarily land in LAX. We might just fly over the top of it. So that's the direction that we're going to head in. Tune that in on nav1. Let's get this aircraft started. We can run through that fairly quickly. So, like so. All the batteries and that are on that we need. Off. Here comes engine 1. Okay, the door was closed. Okay, why is the engine now shutting back down again? Guessing probably because I opened the door or something. There we go. So the engine's going on that side. And you'll notice it's a pretty small airfield and it's got a fairly substantial bump in the runway. Let's start engine 1. Right, now look down at the screen down here. HSI source, going to want that on nav1, which is set for LAX, which is cool. Both engines are running now. Let's get the flaps set for takeoff. Release the parking brake. Start taxiing forward. Watching out for this little Cessna off on our right. And we're miles away from that caravan over there. Trying to be careful we don't blast anything out the way of our jet blast either. sure the generators are on. A little bit higher power setting than I would have wanted. So the winds are coming from 238. They're coming basically from the way we're heading at the moment. So we're going to turn to the right. Alright. There we go. Move that little social media pop-up down a little bit on stream. Okay. All set. Essentially now we'll basically fly this VFR out of Catalina. You can see we're rolling downhill at the moment. Use a little bit of brake. You'll see what I mean about the bump in the runway when we turn around. Here we go. The runway here. There you go, look. Due to obscured visibility between runway ends, use of Unicom is mandatory prior to takeoff. What is this aircraft doing? Didn't want to turn then. Turn the yaw damper off for the moment. We'll line up here on runway 22. Just like so. Apply some brakes. Wind the throttle on. And away we go. There's 40 knots. 50 knots. 60. Wait for this little white line just there. Pull up. And away we go. Positive rate of climb so I can bring the gear up. And here we are, blasting out of Catalina. Right, this time, let's climb up to a decent height, shall we? Climb up to, I don't know, start off with 15,000. Put the flight director on, and we'll put the aircraft in indicated airspeed mode, and we'll engage the autopilot. So now, with the power set, or the power that I've got set, the aircraft is going to try and maintain 120 knots. So it's going to pitch down a little. In order to maintain 120 knots. So the flaps are up. We're climbing away nicely. There's Catalina Island. Down below us. And behind us. Now, we want to head for LAX. So LAX is not going to be in that direction, that's for sure. So, let's set in a flight plan. And let's set LAX on there. Have a look at our map. Put it as an arc. Go menu and let's go back. Flight plan, LAX, direct to. Now on our map, set this to nav. Then set the HSI source to the sky view. The aircraft's going to bank around to the right. And instead of us flying in a westerly direction, we'll now be heading towards LAX. Nice, because we can actually see a bit more today. If we're flying out in the States, I should probably update this. So we're just passing up around, what are we coming up to? We're just coming up to 10,000 feet. We've got a climb rate at the moment of nearly 2,000 feet a minute. Bring the engine power back a touch. It's about 93, 94%. That'll slow down our rate of climb a little bit. There we go, there's our routing to LAX that we're going to be taking. We're going to fly there directly, but let's not land there. Where can we land instead? Van Nuys. Should we land in Van Nuys? Or Burbank? Or maybe have a look. No detail on what sort of runway that we've got there. Let's go to Apple Valley. That's where I fancy going after. So VCV. And we'll go to AAPV is where we're going to be going to. we go, so the routing and everything is updated on the stream. We're climbing through 13,000. We set 15,000 as our cruise altitude. I'm going to take that up another 10,000 feet. We're going to cruise up to 25,000. There we go, getting a pretty good view of Catalina Island, and you can see where the airport is there, look, just under the nose of the aircraft. Nestled up in the hills. This time round both engines seem to be working pretty nicely. So, set the aircraft now for an indicated airspeed mode of 200 knots. So it's leveling off for a second, just below 15,000. The aircraft accelerates. There's 150 knots. 160. 170. Let's bring it back to 180. There we go. If we hit 180 knots, the aircraft will go back into a climb. And let's have a look, see if there's any charts for Apple Valley. There is indeed. There's a couple of RNAV approaches into Apple Valley. If we have a look and see what the weather's doing there. 29908. Sky's clear, visibility is more than 10, wind 080 at 18. It's only a light wind, so we can take the RNAV approach in the southerly runway. So, looking at my iPad, that's fine. I want to come into a point called either Nasty or Naste, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Here we are, climbing nicely. Passing through 18,000 feet. So if I hadn't had it set as that already, we'd set 299.2 on the altimeter at the standard level, and we're now at flight level 184. You should be able to see on display up at the top. Weather's obviously loading in, and there's obviously some cloud about. we hadn't seen before. This will be my next addition to things for X-Plane. Get a decent weather program that isn't going to just randomly pop weather in. Hopefully smooth it and load it for a fairly large area. That'll probably be FS Global Weather that we'll get for that. So there we go, coming out on top of the clouds, like so. We approach 21,000 feet, 245 knots over the ground, 180 through the air. So we've got a nice tailwind behind us. There we go, we'll add Apple Valley in. We can have a look at loading the arrival. I'm looking at the Arnav Zulu for runway 18. No star, no transition. And we will go via, as I said, Nasty. There we go, the route is in, unloaded. We'll put the 750 in TCAS mode. Not that there will be anything, because I haven't got any traffic loading at the moment. There we go. We're going to have everything displayed on the primary display there, look. Engine instruments in the middle. Through 23,000. Climbing for 25,000 feet. Here we go, turning over the top of LAX now. Look out below, and we have got some ortho scenery out below for LAX. The Los Angeles down below us. Looks like we've climbed up into another little cloud layer here. Put some ice protection on. Oh no, maybe not. Looks like it was a little isolated cloud that we basically went through. Let me turn that back off. And now we have an 8 knot headwind here at ground speed of 258 knots, so nearly 260 knots over the ground. "67 miles, Apple Valley." You can start to make out down there where the photo scenery finishes. Looks like it finishes on a lot of these hills. Yeah, speed's creeping up a bit now, 277 knots. Come back on the power a bit. 195 knots indicated, should do quite nicely through here. I won't go too much quicker because it is a little bit bumpy. Scoot down the back. Have a quick look out the window. Something that you could do in real life. Might as well take the advantage of it in this. The aircraft fly by. There she goes. Photo scenery down below for Los Angeles. Before we head in over these mountains. So, at Nasty, is still some distance away by my reckoning. There's Nasty that we're heading to. Is about 25 miles away, so let's pull the power back. And we'll run the altitude selector now down to, what height does it want us out of Nasty? 6,300. So we'll idle the throttles. And the speed's dropping off. We're holding our height. So I want to go back into here, set indicated airspeed mode. Fair old rate of descent there. The aircraft is pitching down. Maintain 180 knots. We can get rid of that. What else can we get rid of? We want to keep the engine instruments on that. Oh, let's do that actually, that looks quite cool. Get rid of the engine instruments from there and we'll have them on the second screen over there with the map. Put the terrain map on the 750. We are descending down into where there is a mountain range. But we don't want to get too close to that. To quickly check on the map again for the current conditions in Apple Valley. 29908 still. Or 88? 29908. Right there. Got that set. There we are in the descent. Altitude is armed. We're in indicated airspeed descent, so the aircraft is pitching to maintain 180 knots. Looking through and having a look at some of the various options that we've got for our display. Quite cool. Temperature. Usually we want those in degrees C or degrees Fahrenheit. So let's change out of speed mode and go into vertical speed mode instead, shall we? Descend at 1500 feet per minute. Means that we can in fact, no, let's leave it in IS mode. It's probably the best way to descend, I would have thought. Allows us to maintain a nice constant speed our way down. So we're passing through 14,000 feet. We're looking for 6,300 for the approach. I wonder if we can set minimums on here. I would have thought so. We seem to be able to set everything else. Autopilot, PFD, Mach TCAS bearing 1, bearing 2. No, can't do it on there. Green. No. Balls. No, it doesn't look like we can. Bit of a shame. Bus type should have been on auto the whole flight, so. So we're descending nicely. We've crossed over the mountains, thankfully. Carry on our descent. Bring up a weather display there and see what the weather's doing. Coming down through 10,000 feet, so we'll put the landing lights on. Tell you what, once you get used to this, it's actually quite a nice aircraft to fly. Functionality of the 750 is pretty nice as well. So we're below 10,000 feet now. Ground speed just over 200 knots, 205 knots. So here we go, we're outside of where I've got any kind of ortho. So this is all standard X-plane below us now. Going to be down at 6,300, plenty early before nasty. Any minute now we'll have the 1,000 feet warning go off. Bring in a little bit of power, slow the rate of descent. The aircraft doesn't need to descend as much to maintain the speed. Aircraft into vertical speed mode. Slow down our descent, come down towards 1,300 feet, keep a nice regular speed, give a nice speed of 180 knots. Once we reach Nasty, we come outbound from Nasty to a point Corral, which is the initial approach fix for the arrival. Corral we want to get down to 6,000 feet for. Now, if we read the information on the plate, the visual glide slope indicator and the RNAV glide path are not coincident. So, you can't use visual indicators to double check whether or not we're in the right glide path following the RNAV anyway. Around a little bit now. Bring up the flight plan on here. 5 miles to go. So we reach Nasty and we're maintaining 170 knots. Bring the engine parameters back on there. Turn them off on the right hand screen, just have that purely as the map. There's a 15-mile leg from Nasty to Corral, and then a 6-mile leg where we want to get down to 6,000 feet. Point Hedry, only a 300-foot descent over those 6 miles. That shouldn't be too much of a problem for us. Two miles now to Nasty. Aircraft is bumping about a little bit. Turning over Point Nasty, heading to Corral now. Now the aerodrome altitude here touchdown zone elevation is 3,062 feet. Although we're at 6,300 feet right now, we're probably, bearing in mind that the majority of the ground around here is going to be about the same height. We're only about 3,000 feet above the ground. If ever you need it, suppose. Although X-Plane does have this nice sunglasses effect that you can put on. So we're 10 miles from Corral, 170 knots. Start thinking about the bits and pieces that we're going to want set for landing. So let's put the engines to continuous ignition. Got the windshield defog on. Cabin altitude and pressures all looking nice. ELT, hopefully we're not going to need that. Could land a little bit softer than that normally. Daytime mode. Fine. Screens are nice and bright. Oh, we didn't have nav lights on. I thought we did. we pass over whatever that is down there. I'm assuming, as this is called Apple Valley, that we're essentially flying into the Silicon Valley area. Whether that would be a right or wrong assumption to make, I don't know. But that's what I'm going to assume. So we're 14 miles track distance now anyway from Apple Valley. Come round to the right. Going to route east 6 miles to Point Hedry. Now the decision altitude is 3,439 feet. So as we fly down the RNAV, we'll set the altitude 3,400. Altitude for 6,000 first of all. That's going to be our next step on the descent. Point Hedry. We can try and get the aircraft set up for the approach. Here we come now. Corral. .500 feet per minute descent, nice and gentle. So don't have to do much with the throttles. Come back on them a little bit as we descend. Speed select wise, we'll set that for 100 knots. Here we are. Down to 6,000. Bring the power back. Take some speed off. We'll get some flaps out. We level at 6,000 feet. Let's see if we can set the speed at 95. I bet it's only going to let us do. Okay, so we want the speed to be around 95, more honestly, for a nice 500 feet per minute descent rate. Speed's down to 145. We're going to turn, so let's get the first stage of flaps in. Speed coming down now. We want to get down to 5,800 feet. The next point. I'll engage vertical speed mode. Next point being Bigvoo. It's in 4 miles. There we are, look, the speed's coming back nicely. 105, 104, let's get landing flap out. Throttle on. Right, we're at 5,800 feet. As you can see, coming up on Bigvoo there. What we're going to do now is we'll set the next altitude 3,400 for the mist, or for our decision height. I'll do that now. That's set to 3,400. Vertical speed to 500 feet per minute. The wind's coming slightly out of the left, you can see on the flight path vector on the PFD, taking us off to the right. Okay. 0.4. There we go, there's Bigvoo, so we're going to vertical speed mode now. We'll play with the power, bringing speed to around 95 knots, which should keep us nicely on the ascent profile that we're looking for. Keep an eye now. Check heights. So the next one is Jutka, which is in half a mile. And there we want to be about 5,320. So we've just passed over Jutka. We're a little bit high. So bring a bit more speed off. Get down to about 90 knots or so now. And then Cuved, about 5.2 miles from the runway. We want to be at 4,840. Take all the power off. I think we're going to be high. About half a mile to go to Cuved. And looking at this, yeah, we're about 200 feet high. So we're at Cuved, 5.2 miles from touchdown. Get the gear down. Just a bit of extra drag. 85 knots should have us on a nice descent path now. For the runway. Looking for 3,439 feet. after the autopilot disconnect. No decision height. Maybe a little earlier. Nose is sacked quite high. Quite a high angle of attack now, so let's get a little bit more speed and try to get about 85, 90 knots on the approach, but we don't want it too much. There's 85. The power off, hold it about there, that should do. Accelerating to take a little bit off. There's 90. Visual with the runway now anyway. And without looking up over the top of the glare shield too much. There we go. Go visual any second now and disengage the autopilot. So the autopilot's coming off. So we're flying it by hand now. As we're going visual, we can turn the flight director off. Got the altitude set for the missed approach. Gears down, free green, flaps are in land. Getting a nice steady approach at the moment. Speed's nicely managed. Missed approach will be a climb 6,000 feet to the point of Fapid. Is direct above the field. 500 feet the yaw damper can come off. A little bit high. Wind's coming from our left. Fly the aircraft. Missed the touchdown marker, so it can be a bit of a long landing.
30, 20, 10.
And we're down. Lightly on the brakes. Roll it out down towards the end of the runway. Said before, this aircraft is very skittish, steering wise on the ground. Windshield defog can go off. We're on the ground now. Welcome to Apple Valley, California. Bring the flaps in. Oh, military looking Cessna parked up round there. That's fine. We'll head off to the right over here and we'll park up next to that King Air, I think. Oh, yeah, we'll squeeze through this gap here, round the back like this. Sharps and hay. fly away, I've just landed. We are now in Apple Valley, California. Welcome to stream, buddy. Bring our aircraft around there, that'll do. So set the parking brake and look over everything that we've got here. So they can go off. Piston battery can go off. Bus tyre can come off there. The batteries and everything are off. Let's stop the engine now. Really turn the landing lights off and the strobes. So they're just on the beacon. Now go off as you shut down the engines. Nav lights can come off. Landing lights are off. The taxi lights are off. Everything is all nice and dark. The aircraft. And we are on the ground. And put some shocks in. Open the door up. And go and head out of our aircraft. It's parked up here now in Apple Valley, California. There she is. Empty everything out. Except it would appear, according to this, we're still sat in the aircraft. And yeah, there she is. Parked up on the ground and chopped up, ready for our next flight. Beautiful weather here in Apple Valley. Now we've just got to find somewhere that we want to go on our next trip out of here. We might have to take this aircraft and stretch the legs on it a little bit, I think. Go somewhere a little bit further afield. But yeah, that was a nice little flight. We went from Catalina Island and we came here to Apple Valley, flying over the top of LAX. Now we're on the ground, all shut down. So let's have a bit of a nose, shall we, at where we can possibly take the aircraft next. Go to Sky Vector. And let's put in Apple Valley. AAPV. Go. Where are we? That's Las Vegas. So let me further out here. Apple Valley here. Where is Apple Valley? Needles. Bullhead City. Kingman. That's Arizona. Possibly look ahead in there. We're still in California, so we've got to be around here somewhere. That's Big Bear, which would be an interesting place to visit, especially in a jet. There's Victorville, means there's Apple Valley there, look. So that's where we are. So maybe we should think about coming out of Apple Valley. Should we start heading? There's no point in heading out to the west because we've already done that. We could, however, start looking at heading east. What have we got down there? That's Phoenix. We could head to Phoenix, but let's try and find somewhere in Arizona where we can go to Flagstaff. So these are all places that I know from American Truck Sim, and that's the extent of where my knowledge of these places finishes. So, look what we've got here. Williams Clark, Belmont there, Flagstaff. Yeah, that could be a nice little trip for us to go on next, I think. Won't be tonight, we'll save that for another day. Take our aircraft from Flagstaff, from Apple Valley. We'll head over to Flagstaff. I'll see if I can get some ortho scenery that will cover that area. So we should have some nice terrain tiles we can fly over. That'd be pretty nice. So there we go. That is going to be the next flight that we're going to do. We will do Apple Valley to Flagstaff. Let's see if we can find a route for that. Oh, it would have helped if I'd actually looked at what the code was for Flagstaff, to be honest. AFLG. Hardest one in the world to remember. LG. And yeah, we'll put, I don't know, 24,000 to... Yes, I would have thought we can probably take this up to 280. I need to have a look at the specs and what the maximum cruising altitude is for this aircraft. I've got a thank you very much for the host. There we go. So yeah, Apple Valley. It's all quite nice. We can set that flight up in Navigraph, so that I've got that ready to go. Shall we close that chart? Let me do one. Let me add one. Yes. Stream. The route that we will do is KAPV Kappa. Also correct on my iPad. So KAPV they're going to be Hotel Echo Charlie Juliet 6. So correct. Thanks. For some reason I didn't like that routing. So anyway, I will set that up for next time we go out. Said we'll be going from Apple Valley over to Flagstaff. We'll do a nice IFR flight and we'll get to take our aircraft and take it up, and we'll fly it again, and we'll go over to Flagstaff in Arizona. I am still on plans. I'm just about to head off, to be honest, mate. We had a nice little flight. We did a nice little RNAV approach Apple Valley in California, where, as you can see, the weather is gorgeous. And the next time we're going to take a little hop over to Arizona. Hopefully when we do it, there'll be some air traffic control on, and we can speak to some air traffic control while we're flying. So I'll do another evening stream when there's most likely to be some American controllers on. But other than that, we've had an interesting stream tonight. We took off from Palma using this aircraft from where we were flying earlier on, and we had a right engine fire, so we ended up doing a single engine landing back in Palma de Mallorca. And from that we decided, let's go somewhere where we can see some scenery. So we've come over to the States, just flown from Catalina Island over to Apple Valley in California, over on the east side of California, flying over the top of LAX. And now we're all parked up, got our bags, we can go and head off to the hotel. And next time we will be doing Apple Valley over to Flagstaff. Let's put this into the overlay so it's ready for next time we fly. The routing I will get nearer the time again, that aircraft, cruise altitude, and that we will set nearer the time when we actually get there. So guys, until next time, thank you very much for watching. You've been amazing, and next time we will continue on our little trip, taking this private jet, and we will take it to Arizona, and then we can carry on flying across the US, try and take in some interesting airports. I'll probably most likely then look at flying it up to, say, Aspen some point soon, and do the Aspen approach, which is quite picturesque from what I've heard. So guys, until next time, thank you very much for watching. I will catch you all very soon.